Call the member for Newcastle.
Thank you, Mr Acting Speaker. I was one of the many thousands at McDonald Jones Stadium on Friday night when the Newcastle Jets cemented their place in the A-League Grand Final. I watched as midfielder Riley McGee scorpion kicked that ball into the back of the net, and the final deafening roar of the crowd as fans realised that the Newcastle Jets were contenders for the premiership. It's been a hard slog for Newcastle Jets fans over the last 10 years since they last won a premiership. They've had wooden spoons handed to them, a former billionaire owner who sacked players before leaving the club in financial dire straits, and countless Jets coaches who tried to make it work. But now, in 2018, 10 years later, with a committed owner, Martin Lee, an outstanding CEO in Laurie McKenna, and a brilliant coach in Ernie Merrick, we are at the brink of greatness once again. And well done and best wishes to, of course, the players. Riley McGee, Jason Hoffman, Dimi Petratos, Nikolai Tokos Stanley, Jack Duncan, Glenn Moss, Nigel Bugard, Roy O'Donovan, Joey Champness, Stephen Ugarkovic, Ronnie Vegas, Daniel Georgievski, Johnny Kutrumbas, Pato Rodriguez, Lachlan Jackson and Nick Calburn. The city is absolutely ecstatic. Ever since Friday night and that goal, well, it's all we can talk about. And then to find out that Newcastle will be hosting that very game, well, that's just the ultimate in our sporting history for the Jets. In the first of the A-League, first time for the A-League, the decider will be held outside a major metropolitan city. The highest paid team left from the regular season gets to host the grand final. And this year, well, it just happens to be Newcastle. As you may remember, just in the last sitting week, the member for Wallsend, Sonia Hornery, member for Gosford, Liesl Tesh, and I all spoke about our dream to have Newcastle as the home city for the Matildas soccer team. We spoke of the W League Jets, the A-League Jets, the Asian Cup, the Women's Newcastle Knights and the Newcastle Knights. In fact, this city hasn't been this pumped, well, since the Knights won their last premiership in 2001, although we're feeling this might be a good year for us there as well. But also, the Jets beat the Mariners in 2008, and that was an absolutely superb victory. And we always love beating the Mariners. So now the next big test for our city was getting your hands on a ticket. Now this is where the excitement gets a little bit out of control. On Sunday, once it had been announced that Newcastle would be hosting city, Newcastle Jets members got the first pick of the draw. The first 20,000 tickets were gone on Sunday. On Monday morning, there were a lot of members on social media asking how it came to be that they couldn't get tickets. In fact, being a Jets member myself, I too missed out on getting tickets. On Monday at 10 a.m, there were another lot of tickets released. They were sold out in minutes. Then at 1 p.m. on Monday afternoon, the tickets were released to the public and it was manic. Reports came in that the Newcastle Ticketmaster's office couldn't even release one ticket, and McDonald Jones Stadium could only serve 6 people before the allocation was exhausted, and the internet sent the site into meltdown, ultimately crashing after the event. What came next has saddened many fans and angered Newcastle Jets CEO Laurie McKenna. The tickets came back onto the market via a few well-known reseller sites, including the Ticketmaster resale site. Ticketmaster is the official ticketing outlet, but they weren't coming back at market prices. Some have been listed at over 9,000% over the retail price. Mr McKenna's threatened to bar any members selling A-League Grand Final tickets at exorbitant resale prices and asked fans who catch members doing this to take their details and they will be banned. But this shouldn't still be an issue, considering last year, in October, the Minister for Better Regulation and Innovation, Matt Keane, put out a media release announcing new laws would stamp out dodgy ticket scalpers. He said the amendments of the Fair Trading Act would crack down on price gouging in sports and live entertainment industries. These Australian first laws will stop the bots by outlawing security manipulation software. He added we're also introducing laws to combat price gouging by putting a 10% cap on resold tickets. Well, today we're putting a stop to it, he said, but the problem is that's all the minister's done, issue a media release. It's been 200 days since the legislation passed the House, and what's he been doing? These laws might have been able to prevent a situation where we've got $10,000 being offered for a ticket at the moment. But regardless of how the governments perform with this legislation, one thing's for sure, the Newcastle Jets will outperform them at the grand final. And if you can't find your $10,000, you'll find the rest of Newcastle huddled around sets or at the pub screaming, Newcastle, Newcastle, go the mighty Jets.
I call the member for